You're listening to The Other 50%, a history of Hollywood. I'm Julie Harris Walker. This is the podcast where we talk to successful women in entertainment and hear their stories. In this episode, I got to speak with Erin DOOLEY. Erin just produced a feature documentary called A Way to Forgiveness. This film shows us her journey walking across Spain on the Camino de Santiago as a way to heal and find forgiveness as she dealt with the end of her 12-year marriage. For me, this is fascinating. As someone who's gone through a divorce, the thought of being able to walk your way to forgiveness in a month, well, let's just say I was a little skeptical. And as someone who deeply hates hiking, I actually wanted to have a go at the Camino de Santiago. We talked about her new life in Los Angeles, forgiveness, how she is sharing this film and the impact it's having, and how she often purposefully works with women. You can find us at theother50%.com, and you can also go there to buy the Other 50% merchandise. You can also find us on iTunes, Facebook, Twitter at Other50%, and on Instagram at Other50% Podcast. And don't forget to check out my other podcast called The Other 50%, A History of Tech. You can also find it on iTunes or on the same website, and that's where I talk to successful women in tech and hear their stories. Okay, here's Erin. What is your job?
Well, I have a part-time job that's completely outside of film. I make high-end hula hoops, which I get that reaction from everybody.
I was about to say, we don't want to know about that, but we very much want to know about that. What is a high-end hula hoop?
They have LED lights, and you can spin them so fast they have patterns, or you could program them to say, like, happy birthday, Julie, or your company logo. And so it sort of just fell into it, and it's been amazing because the woman that started it, she hula hoops, and she thought of this idea, and her friend is an engineer, so she made this product, and so I help her actually, I physically make the insides of them. And
that is brilliant.
It's nice because I like to help support another woman, entrepreneur, but I just go in, do my thing, and then I work from home 3 days a week.
You don't take that job home with you?
I do not have to, although we have a new product, and she just bought me one of them, so I'm going to learn how to do a wand. So I will, I guess, sort of be taking the job home, but that's for fun, so I can learn how to perform. So.
I think I want to meet her for my tech podcast. Okay, so, and what do you do in film?
I am a screenwriter and producer. I've been in LA for 1.5 years, and I have done mostly producing when I'm here, but I'm trying to focus back on the screenwriting because I've noticed that my IMDb now lists me first as a producer because I have accumulated so many producing credits, and I was like, I don't want to be first thought of as a producer.
Your first love is writing?
Yes, that's what I want to do, but I just produced my own things just to have it made and to learn about bringing it from script to screen, and did a lot of film races where, you have 24 or 48 hours to come up with something and shoot it and edit it and all that, so very obviously indie level, but that's how I got my start. Just first one was with my sister and my cousin, just had fun, and then so I just kept writing and came out here to pursue writing more full time. But to meet people, I did the producing, but now in 2017, really trying to focus on what I want to do.
Balance back.
Yeah, because the people, I forget who said it, but you can spend your whole life helping other people achieve their dreams, or you can spend your time achieving your own dream. So,
that is good advice. Where are you from?
The suburbs of Chicago.
Okay, and you've been here 1.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Did you always know you wanted to do this with your life?
I liked writing. When I was a kid, I was a pretty avid reader, and I thought that I would write young adult novels because that's what I was reading.
As you do.
So, but I cannot wax poetic about the shade of brown fleck in somebody's eye for half a page. So I was like, I think once I discovered screenwriting, I said, I think that's more my speed.
Because you can just show that. You
don't
have to talk about it.
Exactly. I want to get to the point of the heart of the story. So that seemed more up my alley. So I started writing, and it was like Pandora's box as soon as, because it was just eating away in my brain. That's all I could think about was this one story. And then finally when I got it out of my head onto paper, it was great. But then the next story came, and Pandora's box was opened, and I was a writer.
Oh, you are burdened with being an artist.
Yes. So
does it just nag at you all the time? Are you in the shower writing? Are you walking writing?
I would love to say yes. I had been, and it's starting again to come back to me because I'm trying to promote more purposely, but with the producing and especially then promoting my documentary, my brain power has just been elsewhere, other parts of the filmmaking endeavor. But yeah, I mean, I had two of my girlfriends over on Saturday for a girls' night, and we were talking, and I had already filed away a title that somebody had said something, and I was like, just so you know, I'm stealing that for a title. And they're not in the film industry, so they're like, I don't care. And it was just such a great title. And then when we were talking, we were just sharing all these stories, and I was like, oh, this is what that title is for. These stories that I can make so I'm writing a pilot for a TV show. And yes, that was in the shower as lathering, lather, rinse, repeat. I was going through all of those. So I quickly wrote the first page of the pilot when I got, because I just can picture everything, how it would open. So yeah, you never know when inspiration will strike sometimes.
That is exciting. So you just got to do it.
Yeah. Just get it down on paper, and so you don't forget. Because I'm not blessed with a great memory, so. I keep a notebook, and now upgraded to my phone with my notepad there to, if I hear a bit of dialogue or, just a title or an idea, I just keep a file of that. And I have 10 pages of just random bits of dialogue so when I'm writing something, I just quickly read through that in case anything would fit in what I'm going to write.
Oh, your friends are going to love this year after year. They'll be afraid to talk around you.
Yeah, there's a t-shirt I've seen. Yeah, I'm a screenwriter. Anything you say can and will be in a future screenplay. So. Okay,
you mentioned the documentary you just put out. Mm-hmm. Tell us about that. I just watched it and I loved it.
Oh, thank you. It's a 45-minute film I made in Spain. I walked the Camino de Santiago, which is a religious pilgrimage. People have been walking for 1,500 years. You start in France, you walk all the way across, almost all the way across the country to Santiago de Compostela, which is where the Apostle St. James he's buried underneath the cathedral. And so as a pilgrimage, people have been going there. It's a religious pilgrimage, it's a Catholic pilgrimage, but most people that I met were doing it for a variety of reasons. Less than half are Christian, and count on my hands the number of Catholics. So it's just an experience for a lot of people. And the Camino is sort of a metaphor for life. A lot of times it's just a place where people in transition often go. People, a lot of retirees who just retired, students who've just graduated, people between jobs, people like myself going through a divorce. Anybody in transition seems to be drawn to it, and for other reasons too. But it's nice because it takes 35 days to walk it. Generally,
that was my next question. How long?
Yeah, you can go at your own pace. Some people can take 2 months, and it depends where you can start. There's no official starting line with a flag or something. There is a pilgrim's place where you can get your pilgrim passport, because they stamp you at every town along the way. And so you get there, and hearing that first stamp go down, that was music to my ears after wanting to do this for 15 years.
Yeah.
And so it was, and then I had a delay with my lost backpack, and so I was just hanging out at the pilgrim's office. So eventually I said, well, do you need help? Because I'm just sitting here, because it was so cold in the town, and it's a very small town, so it took me 20 minutes to see the town. So I had...
But did they put you to work?
They did.
What did you do?
The symbol of the pilgrim is a shell, and so they give them, you can buy them for €1 at the pilgrim store. And so they get them shipped to them without the string that you use to tie in your backpack. So I just strung shells for an hour or two and hung out with them. And I joked that I could start helping the pilgrims, the English-speaking pilgrims, because I'd heard the spiel so many times of what they tell the pilgrims. Yeah, I was like, I've never done it, but I could tell you. I could at least be a parrot of what they said.
Well, I had never heard of this pilgrimage, and I hate hiking with a deep, abiding passion. But after watching this film, I'm a little interested on taking that walk.
Because you could bike it, you can do part of it, there's a saying, everybody does their own Camino.
And it's not straight up a hill, it looks totally doable. At least what you showed.
Maybe I should have shown a few of the mountains then.
Oh, now you tell me. I'm going to cancel my ticket.
There are some steep inclines for sure. Some very steep inclines. And there was one point, which there are parts in the film, well, things I didn't film at all that I wish I had, or things that I at least wish I would have. But you can't put everything in the film, and if it's not related. But one of the days, well, I was walking for 6 to 8 hours a day. Mm-hmm. At least half of the time I was completely alone. And so you have to entertain yourself, so I like to make myself laugh. And so I would just, whatever I would see, I would find some humor in it.
You're like writing jokes.
Yeah, but then I was like, man, I need an audience. Like, this is some good stuff. But, so one of the times before it was probably the steepest incline. And, they warn you about it, and you can just hire somebody to give you a horse to go up there. And I was really in a lot of pain that day. And I was like, oh, but you can become like this purist when you've already walked so far. You almost feel like it's a little bit of cheating if you take another mode of transportation. But I was like, you know what? I'm still going to do it. And I was like, all right, I could see these two guys with their horses. And so I said, okay, if I'm meant to take a horse, they will offer and ask if I want to hire a horse. If they do not, then I'm meant to walk up. I walked very slowly by them to give them ample opportunity to offer it to me.
Every chance.
And I would walk backwards and do it again. No, but
they didn't.
They didn't. So I was like, I guess I'm walking.
God wants me to walk up the hill.
Yeah, it's pretty steep. And then you think back to the first day through the Pyrenees. You're just entering the Pyrenees though, so it's steep because I'm from Illinois, so I walked a mall to prep there, and only at the very end of my training, I looked at my friend who we would walk most often together, and I said, maybe we should take the stairs a few times. We would only go on one level.
You're doing like the old people walk around the mall?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there was the old people and then me with my backpack looking insane.
Like, I'm training.
So then only towards the end did we actually climb the stairs sometimes. And I was going to be walking up the Pyrenees Mountains in a few days, and so I was a little ill-prepared. So that first climb, most people go to one town, but there is a halfway to that town, and I had always intended, I knew that I was not fully trained to be walking through mountains, so I stopped there, and but even just up that last little hill there, I was thinking, oh, this is gonna be brutal. And then looking back, when I went to the real place where the horses could take you, I was like, that was like nothing. That was a baby hill compared to this. So it's all relative. But,
now, I'm so curious, like, what made you decide to film this? Because it was so flippin' brave. Like, you were processing your divorce on this trip. Yeah. Why on earth did you film that?
Well, I'm a filmmaker, and so I thought, I can't go across the world and not bring my camera. I have to at least film something. And I had a very different documentary idea, but the more, and it started with a good idea, but then the more it fleshed out, it was really logistically cumbersome. It would have involved a lot more people. So I scrapped that idea only a couple days before I left. So then I thought, well, I'll see. I'll talk to people about forgiveness. I'll film it. If it just becomes a video diary, then that's what it's going to become. And so I never really, I guess, that's probably, and this is kind of just occurring to me now as I'm speaking it, that might be why I'm so honest. Because I think part of me really wasn't sure if anybody else would ever see it. So it was almost me just kind of like talking to myself, or like part of my prayer to God. So that really might be why it is, because I don't hold anything back.
No, because you were so vulnerable and it was so brave, and I was like, I can't believe I get to watch this.
Yeah, but it's really something to watch it with an audience. And since I did shave my head before or buzzed it, I guess I wasn't technically shaved. My brother likes to remind me because he shaved all the way. We shaved our heads together for charity. But so I look very different, so it's easy to watch with people. But it's lovely to watch it with people, because people do respond to that vulnerability, and they can relate, even if they are somebody, even if they've never gone through a divorce, they've never been married, everybody's had some sort of heartache. They've been wounded by somebody. And since I don't give a lot of the specific details, I don't really give any details about what happened.
Oh, I'm dying to know.
But there is footage of me giving specifics, because again, I thought it was just me, so what did I care? I knew exactly what happened. But I took that out so that people could relate, and it didn't seem like I was just making this piece to badmouth my former husband.
Yeah, so it didn't become about him at all.
Right. It was, I wanted to make sure that it was really about the healing and how do you forgive something that's so difficult. And even if, so people have come up to me, just friendships that have been broken, familial relations that, all different types, and how they're able to take lessons from this relationship. So it doesn't matter that it's not the same relationship dynamic that they're dealing with.
Everyone has something to forgive.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Even if it's themselves, or sometimes even God, if they have a loved one that passed so soon or got really sick. I mean, people can have anger to God, and not that God needs us to forgive them, but that's kind of the mentality that people might have, that same anger, that the same tools of forgiveness towards another person. They can kind of use that to give that hurt up that they might have to God or the universe or whoever whatever they call it. So yeah, because people, called me, say it's so vulnerable. But when I looked, after so many people said that, I looked it up in the dictionary. I was like, because I don't know, that's the nerd in me, I guess.
Okay, what does it really mean?
So it's kind of negative when you look it up. It's that you're prone to attack and you're susceptible to harm. And I get it, like in a war, like when you're vulnerable. I mean, I totally get that. But it's such the opposite, really, in this situation.
Is a better word.
But,
exposed.
Yeah, because there's strength in the vulnerability that it allows me to connect with people on a very real level. And it's really humbling, because people will come up to me after a screening and really share deep parts of their lives.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm about to tell you my whole life story.
and it's a lesson for me to really have a deeper level of compassion. Not that I was, but to really be very present when this person is sharing their life with me, and figure out, can I say anything to help, or does this person just need to be heard, like I needed to be heard so many times on the trip. So it's really a blessing to take this. And there's a saying with the Camino that your Camino starts only when you actually get to Santiago. And I never really gave much credence to that, because partly that was never really my goal. Since you saw the movie, there's another part before you get there that was really where I knew that I wanted to have a big thing happen, and it did. So I never gave much thought, but now taking this film out, I see, that is kind of true, because the Camino gave me this great gift in this movie, and I'm able to share it with me, and that spirit of the Camino I can try to share with people, because if you've ever been on a retreat, that high you have, just the world is great, I've connected with these people.
We all love each other.
Yeah, and it's like that, just on steroids. And so then when you get home, oh my goodness, people can be really depressed, because it's so freeing to walk across the country. You have two outfits, the one you're wearing, the one you're going to wear tomorrow. There's some statistic that the average person, and I don't know if it's an American specifically, if it was that study, or in general, you make 120 decisions a day. On the Camino, I made 4. Which of the 2 outfits am I going to wear? Where am I going to have lunch? Where am I going to have dinner? And where am I going to sleep? Like, these are not hard decisions, because most often I had 0 choice, or a choice between 2 options.
Yeah.
So it's very freeing to not have to make all of those choices.
It frees that brain space.
Yeah, completely.
To work out everything else you have to work out.
Yeah, and to really connect with people, because everybody's having that same experience of being free, and everybody enters into this. Not everybody, I shouldn't. But most everybody really has this spirit of giving on the Camino, and you just want to know. You just go with that open heart, and you don't get that, unfortunately, in the everyday world. Everybody's very focused on what they need to do, and so when you meet somebody, you don't allow them into your life as much as you do on the Camino, and so that's kind of the spirit of the Camino, to make those connections with people and really.
I loved how the people you met were so open with you, and you guys just had such deep conversations with people you had just met.
Yeah.
It was wonderful.
Yeah, and I wish that I had been braver earlier, because it's kind of awkward to be walking with somebody you just met and be like, hey, I'm Erin, so I'm going to film this conversation. and
we're going in.
Yeah, and it's not going to be light, like, how's the weather? The only how's the weather, like, conversation I really had was towards the end of the trip when my Spanish was actually coming back to me. I was very proud that I had, like, a 10-minute conversation all in Spanish, but all it was about the weather, about what we did, but those are the only things.
Hello, my name is,
right.
May I have a cappuccino?
Yes, goodbye.
So, in the film, by the end of your walk, you had achieved forgiveness.
Mm-hmm. Spoiler alert. Just kidding.
Can you imagine if you didn't know way to forgiveness? Nah, she didn't get there. But
that sets it up for the sequel.
That's right.
Sorry, continue the question.
I'm wondering, though, a couple of things. One, did you really? And two, did it stick?
I think that I really did, and I think that a lot of it really comes to, I've been keeping a blog post this and continuing thoughts, because obviously you make a movie about forgiveness, the topic of forgiveness comes up a lot. And so the idea that only when you really love somebody deeply, that's when that forgiveness is more necessary, you feel it's more necessary, and you can forgive more deeply, I think. So I do feel like I did, and there's the cards with quotes about forgiveness throughout the film, and people at screenings have asked if any of those kind of hit home more. And so this kind of speaks to the question at the end where, and it's a quote from Dr. King, but it's like a paraphrase of it, that forgiveness is a daily choice. Mm-hmm. And that one really does, that's the one that has sort of settled in my soul the most, that it's just a way of life now. And things might come up that are reminders, either from actions that he has taken since, or just somebody that reminds me of him, or other situations that are completely unrelated, but it's still something I would need to forgive. I still have to remember, oh no, I forgave that. And I forgave this big thing, so, of this person that I knew, was part of my life for 14 years, so I can forgive somebody that's been in my life for 6 months. Like, of course I can.
Yeah.
And so it kind of becomes that way of life. But it still doesn't necessarily, it makes it easier, but it's not easy, because there were things, I wasn't divorced when I returned.
Right. I was thinking you have to still go through the divorce.
Yeah. And I got home on a Thursday, and I'm pretty sure that it was on Monday that I was sitting across from with our attorneys. And I had taken a picture of the rock that I had left at the Cruz de Faro, and I had written "Forgive him" on it, and I made that my lock screen on my phone, to have that a daily reminder, that every minute reminder really at that point, that no, you did achieve this, and it was real, and you can hang on to it. And so I remember thinking as I'm sitting across, that I'm like, man, they must think I'm crazy, like looking at my phone all the time. But it was to keep it up, and because my phone, would go to sleep or whatever and go black, and I would need to keep seeing that just as that constant reminder to say, no, you did this, or you were gifted this. I think more. It's a lot of work, but it's a gift to be able to reach that. And but it's still a struggle there. To sit in that, and even other people. And it's funny because that other people that have been very tangentially in my life, I've realized recently that I haven't really forgiven some people because they don't hold as big a place in my life. So it's not as hurtful in a way, but it's like, no, some people have done some pretty rotten things that I probably should forgive that. Like, I still, when I think about it, I'm like, that person. But it doesn't, it's not like, obviously, it didn't weigh me down as much as this.
Yeah, it's not as important.
So, but I feel like, well, if you're going to call yourself a forgiver, like, you should forgive everything, Erin. So,
if you're going to do it.
Yeah, you got to go all in.
Okay, another thing I was wondering about that, because just the processing of it, because I'm 7 years away from my divorce, and there's still mornings in the shower I'm processing stuff. Mm-hmm. And I wonder how much the walking meditation, like, physically got it out of your body.
Yeah, I mean, it could be that physical activity got it out. I think the time in contemplation, for sure. So I don't know where...
The combination.
Yeah, but I mean, because when I would be home, before I left, just sitting, just walking across the kitchen, I couldn't even make it that far.
Yeah.
And I would collapse, and you may have had similar instances
just
where...
the constant ruminating.
Yeah. And I remember
fighting.
I would wake up in the middle of the night, mid-thought.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like, oh, I'm groggy, I'm going to wake up, and then a thought starts. No, I would be mid-thought. And it was really amazing. And I was so glad when that stopped happening, because that was really annoying to be like that anxious at night. And it would always be the same time of night. And,
because your brain has to process it all, but it'd be nice if it could do it without you.
Right. We're sleeping. Like, you take care of this.
I don't need to obsess over this constantly.
Yeah, I do that enough during the day. Like, give me the night off. Yeah, I mean, probably, the physical walking, but yeah, a lot of the time alone. I mean, I'm the youngest of 5 kids.
You've never been alone in your life.
I was president of the sorority. Like, I just am always around people. I love people. I'm a very social person. So it was very different to be alone for that length of time.
Yeah.
But then the more I had it, the more I would crave it. And so to this day, I still, hopefully, if I don't love my sleep too much that night, or that morning, I try to get up and I walk a couple of miles to have that same, sort of that muscle memory. Because when I got home, my body was like, hello, like, it is walking time.
Yeah. We exercise a lot now.
Yeah. I mean, because at the beginning of the Camino, it takes your body like a week or two, probably 2 weeks, to really get like, oh, this is definitely a thing that we're doing. We're walking for 6 hours a day. Okay. Yeah. Now we're on board. But every body part would take a day to protest and be in excruciating pain, but I fared better than a lot of people, so I had to keep my complaints to a minimum. So
how else has your life changed since you did this film?
Well, I definitely grew a lot, because in the film at the beginning, I did learn to also look at myself, because nothing happens in a vacuum, and it doesn't mean that you're taking responsibility for that other person's actions.
But what is your piece?
But they didn't act that way for nothing. I mean, unless they're like a sociopath, there's something there. And even, if the choice that they made is still wrong, but I could have an understanding of, okay, I was doing my best, but I can see how that was affecting him and how it did hurt him in certain ways. And so I have probably more introspection, and I like my solitude a bit more these days. And I think a lot of it is just looking at my own actions and understanding that more in any relationship, and trying to be a little bit more calmer and like give people some grace, and get at the root of it. Because I became quite the armchair psychologist going through all of that. I don't know if you read a lot of psychology books.
Oh yes.
I was like, why? Like, what? Why does this happen?
Like, if you weren't a grown-up before, you're a grown-up now.
So to have that, and part of that's good. I mean, it's good, obviously, as a writer, to go even more. I mean, I was always, an observer of what people would do, but I think now that I take that to a much deeper level to say, what really makes that person tick? What in their past is making them. Because a lot of people, and the biggest thing I did learn about, I guess, human behavior was the idea that people often they act out of fear or hurt. Mm-hmm. If they are not really introspective and really in control of their emotions at all time, and who is? I mean, you have an emotion, you can't control it. What you control is then what you do with that. And if you aren't mindful about how you're doing that, you're going to act out of fear and of hurt, because hurt people. And that really allowed me to give that idea, to give people grace and to say, again, what they did was wrong, but I don't know, like, everybody makes mistakes, everybody hurts each other. We are way too good at hurting each other as humans. But a lot of it isn't intentional. And I remember when I watch the film now, to look back at some of the things people said to me, I wasn't ready to hear. Yeah. And when people would say, I remember the gal from Belgium that I met, she was like, yeah, I don't think people, do things on purpose. And I was like, you don't do these things on accident. Like, when you're making certain choices, like, that's a choice. But I can sort of see the spirit of that because I think, because it comes out of that hurt, that you could still love somebody and hurt them.
You're not doing it to do the consequence.
Right, yeah, you're just so hurt, and everybody is just so in their own head. Even in a marriage, people, you can still have that you don't look so past your own self sometimes. And to realize that a lot of stuff people do is not about you. It's about them.
Hardly anything is
about
right?
You, really.
With the 4 agreements, like, nothing is about
exactly.
you, right?
So, learning that idea, to not have that knee-jerk reaction when things happen, and again, it's not perfect. I mean, you're constantly learning and you're constantly growing, and trying to act in a way that in your brain, but then if the rest of you could just get that message sometimes, your heart can get the message.
Challenge.
So, right.
Now, how long ago was this that you did this?
It'll be coming up soon. It'll be 2 years since I walked, and I was 6 months out. I was 6 months into the process, I think it was. 6. So it's been 2.5 years since he left. And I've been in LA for 1.5 years.
I thought it was about 2 years of growth on your hair.
Yeah.
If I had to guess.
Yeah, I really haven't gotten too many haircuts. Yeah. And it just in the last 6 months, then it finally felt long.
Yeah.
But the beginning I was pulling in my hair, please just grow. And
the movie's over. The pilgrimage is over. Now, first let me ask you this. How is the film doing?
It's difficult because I am a one-woman show. So I'm trying to just get the word out as much as I can on my own. And I've self-funded it, so So you're self-distributing? Yeah, I'm self-distributing. People can buy the film off of my website. If you go to dashentertainmentllc.com, that's my company page, and then there's a link it's right on the homepage, actually. Then you just click on A Way to Forgiveness. You can buy a DVD, or you can rent on Vimeo for 3 days. And I'm also touring with it. I've kicked off, it's called the Forgiveness Tour, where I show the film and then I have a 25-minute talk on forgiveness. Kind of, some of what I've said here is part of it, just kind of synthesizing what I learned now that I am a couple years out from it. And then I do have, if the church or college or whomever wants to host the screening, I do also have questions so that people can break out into small groups if that's appropriate for the venue. So it's a whole event to really dive into the idea of forgiveness. So
that's great.
Am open if anybody is interested in hosting. Contact me on my website as well.
You can book her.
Yes. There's a couple of screenings coming up. There's one at the end of March, on March 27th in Hollywood, and then there'll be one in April in Alhambra. But you can go to my website for the dates that are coming up. Hopefully it'll be filling up. Those are how I'm getting it out there. It's tough to be the one person getting it out there. And
you're doing all the jobs.
Yeah.
I love how you're doing the speaking with it and the workshops with it. Like, it has such a bigger mission than being entertaining.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels good to do that. And I never necessarily thought of myself as a public speaker, but people have been complimentary.
Well, you are now.
And I said that when I first had, there's another documentary that I had read about, and they are doing that as well, and that sort of opened my eyes to that as an idea. And so I just said, well, I'll try this, God, and if this is how it's supposed to be, and if this kind of takes me down a different road than what I thought was going to be when I came to LA, then that's fine, because it is so heartwarming to connect with people and to share it with people, because people that have watched it, like yourself, you watched it on your own, and it seems to have, been well received. But I think when people see me and meet me and can talk to me and hear what I say, it's just compounded to have that impact.
I can only imagine the conversations and to see it in a group. And are you Catholic?
I am, yeah.
And you're doing it in churches also?
Yeah, right now it's the bookings have been Catholic churches, but I'm certainly open to any, it doesn't even have to be, a Christian church. I think forgiveness kind of, goes across everybody, doesn't, all creeds, probably.
I mean, the whole thing was, and I may be using this word wrong, but it was kind of a sacrament. The way of doing it, and then talking about it and sharing it with people. I mean, I think there's something very powerful about it.
Thank you. Yeah, it's I don't know. I guess, like, my humility comes out. I'm like, oh, thank you.
Yes, that's what I did. I created a new sacrament. I'm not sure what that word means.
Pope Francis, are you listening? Let's get the new one on the books. I actually sent a copy to the Pope.
Oh, you did?
So I haven't heard back from him, but we'll see.
You never know.
Yeah, I've heard
a big
stories.
social media presence.
He does, and he randomly has called people. So now I'm like, every time my phone rings, and I'm like, oh, this is not a number I recognize, but it could be the Pope. But it is a local number, so I don't think it's him.
It might be. I mean, wasn't he doing a forgiveness tour also?
He stole my title? Oh, man.
He was
doing, no, I'm just kidding.
It was a compassion tour or something.
Yeah.
He was doing
it was the Year of Mercy last year.
That's what I'm trying to say.
So, yeah, I entered it. I launched the film right before the Year of Mercy ended, because I wanted to get it in at least as the Year of Mercy was still going on, but with doing it all myself, yeah, it's the shortest. Do you notice how short the credits were? It's like Erin, the composer, and the guy who fixed the sound. But good, yeah, because obviously it went very well with the idea of mercy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean.
Okay, so what's next for you?
I have a web series that I co-produced and co-wrote that we're going to be releasing in April. It's called Baked Goods. And I made it with a team of women. There's 5 of us, and one woman was like, I just want to make something. Who's in? I want to work with women. And so they set a meeting date, whoever wants to come, talk about this, and let's see who's really interested. It happened to be, I had just moved to LA that week, and a friend of a friend, so I was meeting with anybody that, just to help me orient myself, and had coffee with her. She's like, hey, there's a meeting tonight for some women that are going to do a project together. Do you want to come? And I was like, yeah, of course I want to come. And
yes, please.
So I joined up with them, and it's been, so we did a 13-episode web series, and we're going to be releasing it soon. Again, all self-funded. We're going to self-distribute it right now, again, unless somebody wants to buy it, which we would love.
Oh, what did you do on the series?
So the 5 of us, we all divided up the writing. And then we all are the producers in that we all help fund it, and then 3 of them were the actors, 1 directed, and then I was the main producer on set. And so we finished it, and we're going to start getting it out there and release episodes coming up in April. So it's
Say the name
exciting.
of it again?
It's called Baked Goods.
Baked Goods.
Yes. And then beyond that, I'm just getting back again to the writing. So I have a feature comedy that I'm writing. Although I just read something in not the newspaper. I'm not that old-fashioned. I don't actually get anything in print. But I read some headline that I think there might be a film that's quasi. It just came out that is. It might be like what I'm writing, which always stinks because you're like, well,
that's okay.
So we'll see. I don't know. It's about quasi the same topic, but
well, do you remember the year that every studio put out a version of Alexander the Great? It happened.
Yeah. And then there was there's like what it was the Armageddon and those two like meteor hitting. Yeah, I know it totally happens, and it's all in the execution. So I'm writing.
People like proven ideas.
Right. Yeah, the same but different. So
yes.
So I'm trying to write that, and then I just came up with an idea this weekend for a TV pilot. So that one should be pretty funny. So now it's I don't know, if other writers have juggle multiple ideas in their head, and it's like, which one do I focus on now? So I've got a couple of things I'm trying to write and get on paper, and then pitch those around town. So
great, you are in it.
Yep, just gotta keep.
Welcome to LA.
Yeah, the hustle of LA and trying to make it.
Are you a success?
That's interesting because I've kind of had that conversation with people, and it's how you define success. And I think for me, the success is if I have impacted somebody with my work. So I guess I could say that yes, I am a success. I would like to have wider and broader success and help, particularly with this documentary, because I know, I mean, I've had stories, not just people sharing like what they're dealing with, but really how this has changed their life. I mean, people have restored friendships because of the film. Somebody was on the opposite side of a similar scenario, and then the man came up to me after the screening. It didn't totally own up to what I knew he had done. I knew the man. But I could see in his eyes that for the first time, he really saw it from the other person's point of view and realized the pain that he inflicted.
Yeah.
And he said, I can finally have empathy for that person.
Oh, thank God.
So to have that and I mean, what else can you ask for? I mean, to be involved with that, for me to have God use me in this way, I mean, it's
huge.
It's all that I really want. I mean, most of what I write, it comes, for me, my Catholic faith isn't just something I'm like, oh yeah, I was Catholic, I was baptized, but I don't really, I mean, I go to church.
You're practicing.
And like more, like, I mean, I go to Bible study, I go say that, like, I'm going to say the rosary tonight, I have Bible study on Wednesday, like, I'm there multiple times in a day, just, especially for me to be in LA where there's fewer Catholics, at least that I've come across, and I really need for me to stay grounded in my faith, and so I purposely do a lot more than I have in the past, just so I can really feel grounded in that.
My follow-up question to success, which now I feel awkward asking you, are you a badass?
You know, I work in the arts district. I work with very different people.
Welcome
so
to LA.
It's all, right?
To
and
LA.
God loves everybody, so I love everybody.
Okay, but are you a badass?
Well, it's funny. At my other job, making the hula hoops, I kind of feel like a badass just because I'm not. I can solder now, and I feel like, oh, I'm like
that is badass.
And even though it's not even like. I'm not soldering like something huge. I'm making a hula hoop, and so I'm got tiny little things, but I'm like, oh, I can solder. I'm awesome. So, I mean, I guess I can be. I mean, I have a strong work ethic. I'm from the Midwest, so I think that kind of comes with the package. Well, that says it all. So, I mean, so I think that when I do something, I try to do it to the best of my ability. Mostly if I'm interested in something. I am not good if I don't like doing something, I'm like, that's not for me. And I don't put as much effort, which is probably, I could do better on that. Because so many people.
But why?
I mean, yeah, but then sometimes,
focus on your strengths.
But you just look at so many people. I mean, I guess I'm blessed because I'm able to work in this industry, or at least, be trying to make strides in an industry that I love, doing what I love. But so many people are in jobs that they hate, doing stuff, and they still do it to the best of their ability. So in that respect, I'm like, if I get a job that is not my passion, I should still always work to the best. And sometimes I'm like, this is not what I want to do. But So, but I think that when I am doing something that I enjoy and am doing it to the best, that I sometimes, I guess, feel like a badass, like, 'cause, I mean, I think I do a good job at what I do, so, sure.
What is your perspective on kind of the state of women in the business in the country these days?
That, it's exciting that it is so focused on, you know, like Big Bang Theory, all the men took pay cuts so that the women could now have the equal pay to them.
On the one hand, I think that is great. On the other hand, the studio has the money to pay them equally.
Yeah. I don't think that they needed to do that. I mean, I think it's, but at least but to have stories like that getting out there.
It's important.
That, okay, like, let's look at this problem. Why? Why
Right.
are we still getting paid less? And I do often work with women. In Chicago, a friend and I, we started a group called Shy Femme for Chicago females. And we would primarily only work with women. And we shot a 4-episode web series when I went home for Christmas. And because you don't get that. And it's like, how can you, the whole thing, you know, when you're interviewing for something, well, you don't have enough experience. Well, how can I get experience if nobody's going to hire me?
Right.
And so really trying to empower women, and it's wonderful to see it from people that are, I've heard it from Kevin Spacey where he says he sends the elevator back down, like he wants to help people get up to his level. But to see a lot of strong women doing that, like Shonda Rhimes, she's so successful and she's, you know, there's a lot happening that is good. And I guess I'm a glass half full kind of gal that I'm focusing on that because there is so much that you're like, man, it's 2017. How is this still happening?
Why are we still talking about it?
Yeah. So in a way, it's like,
But
you
we have
kind of
to.
get frustrated that, it is still an issue. But it's great to see stories, that are told by women. And like I haven't seen Hidden Figures yet, but I really
It's great.
Why have I not seen this? And people are asking, why has this story not been told yet? It's like, exactly. How many other stories are there like this about women that have impacted our world and we don't know about it?
11 billion.
Thank you for the number.
You're welcome.
I knew I could count on you.
It's an official data point.
You do your research for your interviews. I like it. But so there's a lot to be done. But and I think though that it's not, even as much as I try to work with mostly women, I don't, you can't swing the other end to the and never work with a man. I mean,
Of course.
they're talented too. I mean, the people, the other 2 crew members that I hired afterwards were men. So it's just making sure that the women are given the opportunities, and it's different on set. I mean, my first film was with all men primarily, and it was very different. I mean, granted, I was very new and green and made mistakes.
How is it different working on that versus the web series you did with all women?
In a way, it's almost kind of apples and oranges. Only, I don't know, maybe it's not, but I am vastly more experienced than I was. I mean, in some respects, when I look back, it's sometimes only when you have the naivete to do something, you're like, I should never have, but I didn't know that I shouldn't have done that, so I did it.
I had no business doing that.
And it's good that I didn't know, because maybe I never would have made that film, because I would have, it would have seemed insurmountable had I had more knowledge, because my first film it's a 2-hour musical. I had 22 locations in Chicago. I had 12 leads. The only thing that would have made it more difficult is if I had written like an elephant into one scene. Like,
did you write this
film? I wrote it and I directed it and I shot it and I'm looking for distribution. And so to think like what like I hadn't even made a short. Where most people I made a 2-hour film. And so the idea that you just hire people smarter than you. So I hired people that knew what they were doing, and the film only looks as good as it does because of those people. But it was it was primarily men, and so there were some moments on set that some of it was justified, that I didn't know what I was doing some of the time, but I knew I had my vision. I just didn't, and I planned well. But there was, I definitely made some mistakes, so some of it may have been justified, but there was, some things I had to deal with. So then when I worked with the women on the web series, that one, especially since there was 5 of us and we all agreed, we signed, everything is, we all have a 20% stake in every decision, every bit of money that's going in, any money that hopefully, like on wood, would come out of it. We all have a 20% stake in this. So sometimes that slows us down because we're like, can we just make a decision? But
it's consciously collaborative.
Yes, it's very, very collaborative. I mean, and it was good for me as a writer, trying to step more into comedy now, to see that writer's room mentality, and to see why people write not in the solitary confinement of their own brain, that it's funnier when you're working with other people. So there was a lot of, and I think a lot of people complimented how we were on the set, because just women are nurturers, and we just wanted, it was so low budget, people were working mostly for free, or for, the promise of if it ever becomes something. So we said, well, we're at least going to make a set that's going to be a good set to be on. So we were cooking the meals, we were doing everything. So I think we had, as crazy as it was to get so much done, because we shot only in 6 days. We shot 13 episodes, which really was 80, I think it was 80 pages of script that we shot in 6 days.
What?
And and I think we had a total of 60 actors set foot on set at any given time. So we really were churning it out.
How did you do that?
We are bad. This team of women is badass.
I'll say.
Yeah, that team, we got it done. We all played into our strengths, and we made sure, and everybody just worked their tail off.
Was it one set?
No, we were going all over the place. We did have a few sets that were used, for a couple of the days, but we were bebopping around town. We shot in downtown LA, we shot in Alhambra, we shot in Hollywood, we shot in a number of locations.
What did you shoot on?
We shot on a Canon. Yeah, it was funny because we really, even the content of that really flips everything on its head, from speaking about like women in film. At one point when we were crewing up, it looked like the only man on set was going to be the makeup artist.
That is perfect.
And we were like, please let this be so. Let this be so, because that's amazing. And it ended up, our post supervisor was a man, and then some of the PAs. But that was it. The rest were women.
That's great.
Sound, everybody. So that was, we were happy that we were able to find people that their schedules lined up and that they were as talented as they were. So.
Yeah. And until there's full representation in the mainstream business, it doesn't bother me one little bit. Hire all the women you want.
Yeah. I mean, because they're talented, and yeah. So it was, and it's shot. It looks really good. We're very happy with that web series. We're excited for people to see it.
Now, what's the name of your musical?
That is called Broken and Beautiful, and it's a faith-based musical. Most of what I do, again, has my faith. That is very overt. I wrote it pretty soon after the movie Crash, if you remember that one. So it's that, that's why I have 12 leads. It's an ensemble cast. There's 5 storylines. They all know each other. They all go to the same church. They're all dealing with something pretty heavy in their life: addiction, infidelity, same-sex attraction. They're dealing with some pretty heavy stuff that, as believers, how are they going to get through this? So they sing about it. That's how you deal with life's hard problems. You sing about
everything.
Yeah. So that's the answer.
I'm totally on board with that. Yeah. Have you met Roma Downey in Lightworks? Have you reached out to them?
I should. I am like 1 degree away from them, so I should.
Okay, anyone who can put her in touch.
Yes, let's make that happen.
Okay, last question is, what advice would you give to young women who are just starting out?
All right.
Or just about to get married?
I won't do the typical, don't do it, for that answer. Just take your time, I think. Don't rush into, at least for that, getting married.
Right.
But so this business, I think that there's so much opportunity to just shoot. I mean, you just can't wait for somebody's permission. You just have to shoot. You can make stuff on your iPhone, and it looks great. It looks better than what the studios were putting out how many years ago, even. Like, not that long ago. go. So just shoot or write or whatever your craft is, just do it and do it a lot. Because what is it? It takes like 10,000 hours at something to become a master, like that whole idea. Just keep doing it. And network, man, because any business, you want to do business with somebody that you like. Even if you're buying a car, you don't want the jerk car salesman. You want someone, even if you know they're just schmoozing you, it feels good. And this industry is far and away even more than that it's all on relationships, and you want to work because it's so stressful. Everybody's just, there's so much, I mean, in a way, you're like, there's so much at stake, but you're like, yeah, it's still just a movie though. Like, we still have to remember what we're doing. But it is, perspective. Yeah, but it can be very stressful, and so you just want to,
well, what I'm hearing is do your craft.
Yes.
Do your 10,000 hours.
And meet people, because that's how you're going to, that's how I got any gig when I first moved here, was I went to just networked like crazy, and then people would hire me. If you're competent and nice, that's going to go a long way.
Yes.
It really does, because people don't want to work with crazy people. And LA,
competent and nice.
Yes.
That's the secret sauce.
It really, and you're like, is that all? Like, in some ways, it's like the bar to entry is kind of low. Like, you just have to be a decent human being and be good at what you claim to do, and do it. And don't talk, because there's so many people that just talk. Like, if you actually write, then you're not an aspiring writer. Like, you are a writer. Maybe maybe you're not a produced writer, but you're a writer. So keep writing and get people to read it, and, or whatever your craft is.
Have 10 scripts.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, I had wanted to move out here for years, and it never happened until now, partly because I wanted...
What a blessing, you got divorced and you can move here.
But I wanted to wait, because we had talked about it when we were married. He wasn't really interested, but I was like, oh, I kind of want to, but I also didn't want the pressure of, okay, like, I moved us here, like, now I have to make it, and if I only have like 1 or 2 scripts, I knew that even then, before I knew more than I know now, that the likelihood would be less. But yeah, just be prolific in your craft. Just keep doing it, and you're going to get better. And tenacity. Hang on, because so many people move here and leave within like the first year. And you're not going to, it takes, what the whole saying, it takes 10 years to be an overnight success. Like, you're not, you have to just hang on. If you hang on and you're nice and you do your job, you're going to have some level of success. And then you're going to have to decide what level of success is going to make you happy, and decide if you're okay with, something. But those are the big things, I think.
Okay. Is there anything else you wanted to add to this conversation that I missed?
Everybody listening should buy a copy of my movie.
No, you totally should. Good job for the self-promotion. But no, you should. I thought it was fascinating. It's a slow burn. There's not a lot of action. But I usually watch everything with my phone in my hand, playing Candy Crush, I'll be honest. Okay. And I didn't. I sat there and paid attention and watched the whole thing.
Thanks. That's
a really good
endorsement. I did not play Candy Crush.
I did not play Candy Crush. Okay. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you for having me.
You've been listening to The Other 50%, a history of Hollywood. I'm Julie Harris-Walker. I'd like to thank Erin DOOLEY for sharing her story. And special thanks to Jonathan Lucas for editing, Jay Rowe, Danny Rosner, and Allison McQuaid for the music. Please find us on iTunes and subscribe and leave a review. And of course on our website, theother50%.com, all spelled out, for added features, bios of our guests, and the merch. You can also follow us on Facebook and on Twitter at Other50% and Instagram at Other50%Podcast. And don't forget to check out The Other 50%, a history of tech. Thanks for listening. See you next time.